one of the things that I wanted to share with you today is looking at the things that we're talking about. We're talking about some of the biggest societal problems that look like they're just too big to do anything about. And one of the things that I learned about this past month, I wanted to share in hopes that it would also give some hope. And what it was about was this. In church, we use a lot of spirituals. And for Black History Month, I wanted to look at the history behind some of these spirituals. And a lot of the spirituals that get used in church were used with coded meanings in them so that enslaved peoples could use them to encourage one another or even transfer information. The song Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, coming for to carry me home, wasn't about heaven, it was about a free territory. Talk about, what do I see, a band of angels come to rescue me. There was talk of spots on the Underground Railroad where there were people to help enslaved people on to freedom. And I wanted to share that information because a lot of people didn't know it. Now, if you know the song This Little Light of Mine, do you know who wrote that? We don't know African people, but we don't know who wrote it. And a lot of those spirituals, well, we don't know who wrote them either because the people who wrote them were not credited for them, were not compensated for them. Well, we have a hymnal in the church, and some of the things in there are copyrighted, which means that if you use that work, there's money that has to go, and some of that money goes to compensate the people who wrote that song or their estate. The question then is, well, what about if we don't know who wrote it? What about if it was taken without their permission? They're long dead, so there's nothing we can do, right? That is what I wanted to talk about, because I learned that there have been some churches that calculate what would have been an appropriate royalty and give that money to programs that are supporting African American composers of liturgical and sacred music, or give that money to people that are trying to address systemic racial inequity. They don't have to, but they do it because they think it's the right thing to do. There's a word, reparations, which scares the crap out of a lot of white people. I didn't use that word too much in the church. I talked about restorative justice, reparative justice. The idea that if I harm you, we can't be okay with each other unless that harm has been addressed. And over generations, that includes if you didn't do the harm, but you helped to repair it anyway, you are doing a significant amount of reparative justice through doing that. The whole reason I'm sharing this, the whole point of sharing this is an effort towards addressing an injustice that is generation upon generation in the past. And many people will say the things that you're doing aren't going to actually help people who are long dead who have suffered. They suffer from a lack of imagination. They suffer from a lack of creativity. If you really want to try to do the work of justice, you can find a way. And learning about some of the work that had been done around compensation for stolen art inspired me, so I wanted to share that, because what other culture has been stolen, and what other opportunities are there to address those even generations later, because it's never too late to do the right thing. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you very much.